Good?
Okay. It is close to 6:30. This is Tuesday, March the 18th. I call to order the Finance, Legal, and Audit Committee. Roll call, please.
Anderson,
Here.
Berrigree,
Here.
Cahill,
Here.
Mensch,
Here.
Delar,
Here.
Rolfs,
Here.
Marcier,
Here.
Miller,
Here.
Mayor,
Here.
9 present.
All right, we have some people in the audience who have any public comment. No public comment. Next is the Treasurer's Report for February. I will make a one note here. Normally in March, there is, this month would be transfers, quite a few transfers, but Fox Group, I've been told, had a computer problem for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And we are not able to make transfers for this time, but they will be made soon. So there's a, in Street and Alley, there's not normally a negative number there. That'll be corrected as soon as the Fox Group gets things squared around. Other than that, Treasurer's Report. Any comments or questions? Otherwise, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Berrigree,
Aye.
Mensch,
Aye.
Cahill,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Delar,
Aye.
Marcier,
Aye.
Rolfs,
Aye.
Anderson,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
roll call carried.
Okay, next up is Amanda Hibbs with the Watsika Chamber of Commerce. Talk about donation for a Christmas light display. Make sure that mic's on too, Amanda. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the time tonight. I'm here tonight to share with everyone on the council that the chamber we have exciting news. We want to launch a drive-through Christmas light display in Legion Park. We think that this will bring a magical experience to Watsika. It will bring joy. It will bring holiday spirit. With me tonight is the American Legion Post number 23 Commander Rick Ziebart, Chamber Board Member Mike Rubel. We have already started our efforts for raising funds. As of today, I have already collected $5,629.68. 2 displays have been purchased. However, we need more funding. I'm here tonight to ask the City Council for some financial help. A few things that we're doing. We have a Monocle's Community Day planned for April 8th. That will go toward the drive-through light show. We will be Robinson Chiropractic's Charity of the Month for April. That will also go toward the light show. I have also applied for the Freed Trust. So we're working on generating funds from other areas, but I'm asking tonight if the council would consider giving us $10,000 to put toward this drive-through light show.
I have a question. I know they're not cheap.
Correct?
So what kind of dollar value are each one of the displays? I'm sure different sizes cost different money.
Correct. The smaller you are, the more affordable you are. The larger you go, the more expensive you get. I do have the catalog here with me tonight. You may not be able to see it from afar. I talk loud. Your smaller displays start out at about $300 and go up. So these are roughly, $195, $125, $150. Then you get down to $440, $550. You can kind of give you an idea. And then as we go larger, of course, you're at $700 and something, $1,200. They vary.
Okay.
I think that this would help our businesses. I think this would help our restaurants. And I feel that this would attract more people to Watsika. Other communities have done this. Kentland no longer does it. Kankakee no longer does it. You can go to a drive-through in Hoopston. The American Legion has said that we can use the park free of charge. I would just really like to pursue this to try to enhance Watsika.
I think it's a good thing.
Is there like a proposal in terms of what you guys gonna buy and then what is gonna be displayed in the thing, so in that way we can get an idea in this $10,000 along with the money that you're gonna be raising, and then what is included in that park? Is there like a kind of breakdown in terms of what is included in there?
Okay, if a business or organization wants to purchase the display, they can do so. we will have signage on each display that it's sponsored by such and such. So
Okay.
let's just say sponsored by the American Legion, they put a huge American flag out there, it'll be sponsored by them. We've also had members of the community come forward and just give cash donations, like $50, $100. We're gonna have a sponsor board where those individuals will be listed also. The displays vary, you can pick your display. Once the displays that have been picked and purchased, we will pick other displays that aren't similar to use as fillers to fill in the park, if my concept makes sense to you.
Okay.
Financially, it looks like we have some money left in promotions. This is towards the end of our fiscal year. We have a little over $18,000 left in promotions. So,
You can see our lovely display here that Tom Jones at TJ Signs made me to kind of give you. Of course, they're larger. It wouldn't fit my car, so I had to improvise with what would fit in my car to bring you an idea and show you. Again, not excluding you guys down here at the end. The displays vary from snow globes to Merry Christmas to Let It Snow to Elves with Candy Canes.
Are you planning bottom road also, low road?
No.
Okay, so it'll be all on the top road, okay,
Yeah, we'll keep it on paper.
okay,
Our goal is enter on 4th Street, exit on Belmont.
makes sense. Do you need more electric out there?
Yes, that is
We
one of
probably
Is that where some of this would go? Okay,
That's,
that makes sense.
that's my huge expense right now is getting the electrical taken care of. The Legion is fine with it. My goal is to go to our local electricians and see if I can get them to do a little pro bono work for some advertisement. And then we pay for some supplies. But I have to have a base before I can go any further.
This
This is also going to be something that, once you get this started, you're not getting rid of them. They're going to stay, so.
Correct.
It's like almost an in perpetuity.
Correct. I may start out with 20 displays, but my overall concept is if we could get 50, we get 50. It'll probably start small and then grow.
Right.
We could put Santa out there a night. We could put an elf out there a night. Some of your local organizations could come out there and do hot dogs, chili, candy bars, hot cocoa. I think that we could really turn this into a huge tourism thing. Hey, we're gonna come look at the lights. We're gonna go eat at one of your restaurants. Hey, we need gas. We're gonna stop at your gas station and get fuel.
I'll make the motion for the 10,000.
Second.
roll call, please.
Baragry.
Aye.
Cahill. Delar.
Aye.
Marcier.
Aye.
Rolfs.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Mensch.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye,
Roll call carried.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
thank you.
Again, we would normally have transfers in the month of March, but that will have to be changed till next month. Things will get straightened out a little bit better. Okay, next item is if we have any comments about budget, finance discussion.
I guess I do. I wanted to ask, everybody gets these financials every month, right, in the agenda? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to just start off with, recently brought to my attention that there was some inaccurate information put on social media regarding expense accounts. But the reason I started off with asking everybody if they received their agendas and financials each month, because 2 years ago, right after the last election cycle, I had a councilperson say that they were going to work with their spouse who was either a bookkeeper or a accountant, and they're going to bring back suggestions. And that's, that didn't happen for the first couple months. Third month, I end up putting on, and if you guys have agenda, it's line 7 down where it's the budget, audit, and financial discussions. And I started that in the third month, and I think the next 3 months I asked, and I mentioned who I did this for, and 2 years later, we still haven't heard anything. So just kind of going on with that, after adding that, because we always talk about spending and savings, or some do. But I want to give a quick educational moment. I kind of started last week. And this is in regards to budgets. And by definition, they are an estimate. of income and expenditure for a set period of time. It's like a guide, but it's not the legal instrument. It's the appropriations that are the legal instrument, but those items can be changed also, okay? And I only know this because, you know, I've taught it with an intro to business class as an adjunct instructor at Kankakee Community College as a business instructor, but, you know, just to get support from someone else, and Lauren, if you could, there'd be an email from Joe, if you could pass that out. Because we had it brought up, but what's left in that item? We're overdone here. So I started out with a question to Joe. A question has been asked: if a line item goes over budget, say for example equipment expenses, as long as you can explain why it went over, it's okay to go over, correct? And as long as the expenditures don't exceed the appropriation amount, correct? It's my understanding that a budget is just an internal control to guide the departments. The appropriation is the actual legal tool. Joe's response to me: correct, the budget is irrelevant in terms of the legality of spending. It's an internal guide. Appropriation is the limits. Then you can take appropriations from certain items and transfer it to others in certain circumstances. So regarding the financials and the author of this post, they've been given the financials and the agendas every month. Some for 2 years, some for 4 years, depending on where your term is on your, as far as being a representative up here. And I guess the thing that I'm looking at where we had kind of bigger expenses come up was December of 2024. This is when we paid for, and I'll get into that here in just a little bit as far as the total dollar amount. But I guess what I'm looking at is December 2024, could have been brought up then, but we're doing it 2 weeks before an election. To me, it's kind of poignant on the timing of this thing, okay? And I guess the one thing, the inappropriateness of going to your keyboard first rather than calling Kathy, calling a department head, calling a department chair, it really is just very inappropriate and it doesn't look good. But then I kind of wanted to get into it. Another example of where budgets and appropriations can be changed, let's look at winter salt for our roads. We have a harsh winter, we're going to go over budget for salt in that expense. Would that be a correct statement?
Correct.
Okay. If we have a mild winter, we're going to have a surplus.
We only budget 300 tons, so I'll give you an idea of what we have. We go
Okay.
over, that's what we budget for.
So I guess, and again, I'm going to get into, I think there's 3 specific expense items that were listed, but the other thing that's kind of distressing is that we had Mr. Mensch and Mrs. Rolfs kind of being criticized for missing meetings. But the person that missed the meetings went for a spell there where they missed 40 committee meetings. I'll make it a little bit more palatable, 20 meeting nights. And then started back into a trend. I think 2 months ago, missed one with, and this is without letting us know. I'm going to say Mr. Mensch and Mrs. Rolfs at least let us know when they were and were not going to be here. The other person we never heard from. Maybe they're going to throw the other person under the bus that they talked to them, but we never knew. And when it comes down to it, after missing 40 committee meetings, you kind of say, is that a lack of engagement or is that a lack of representation of their ward? And kind of the pot calling the kettle black. All right, so let's get into some of these things that were mentioned inaccurately on a post this past weekend. And let's get to the actual facts. The water and sewer miscellaneous expense. This all comes about with the Locust Street sanitary project, which is a big main, a 24-inch sanitary sewer. The one that was there, because it's been under the tracks, it was a clay round tile. Help me if I'm wrong. But that was like 24 inches.
Yeah, 24-inch sewer that was originally going to be lined, but there were some issues with some measurements from prior directors. So they were unable to line it, and the project had to be scrapped because the offset was closer to the tracks.
And from my understanding from a prior director is that it started off round because it's clay, and then it was getting egg-shaped.
Correct.
Gotta wait on those trains, and here's the thing, if that would have went and collapsed, the people on the south side of town would not have been able to get the Aki brown and yellow water out of their houses. They wouldn't have been able to flush their toilets. So finally, with the work of these two gentlemen here, sticking with it, changing it, we were able to get that done. And it was approved on July 2024, 8-0 up here. So the person with the criticism also voted for this, but maybe they've changed their mind and hey, not being able to flush your toilet isn't that big a deal. But the billing came in December. And I'm just going to read the notes that I put because, so Locust Sanitary paid using portions of these funds. The project cost total $741,679, not including engineering costs. So we still had to get this engineered. The project was approved in July 30th, 2024, 8-0 vote. I have copies of the minutes if anybody needs proved on that. It was also coming out of TIF 3, TIF 4. And the water and sewer, so it was divided 4 ways to spread that out over time. It was a thing that just came up. We had to take care of it. Or we're going to leave it, and a lot of people are going to be upset with issues in their houses. But again, it's the timing of this thing. If they had an issue, why not in December? But we're going to wait until we get closer to election time. We had wastewater fuel costs. There were issues with Casey's, and Kathy, you can jump in and help me out with this as far as how the charging went, but that had to be caught up in the budget. So $12,000 is not being used by one person driving a car out of town a year. Okay, so that got blown up, exaggerated, sensationalized, whatever you want to call it. The problem has been corrected. And it's been done between the sewer fuels and streets and alley fuel, et cetera, and the budget is corrected. Consulting fees. You know, we had the Opera House. Everybody knew about the Opera House. We're still at a point where to demo it, it's a range between $417,000 and $518,000 to demo it with still 2 open items. I think it was earlier misrepresented that it was under $300,000. That's not the case. And we're $469 to fix it. So we're still at loggerheads on that. And we had to do our research to find out what that was going to be. Okay? So the consulting fees we paid for. And I guess if we're going to correct all these items at the time or catch it up later, but if we do it at the time, we're going to have more professional services costs. And that part of our budget's going to go out of whack. So typically, and Kathy, you can help me out, they catch this up closer to audit time and stuff like that. So, and I'm going to wrap up this part with new potential council members. Please, if you get on here, call up here first, ask a department chair, ask it a department head, a department chair, or Kathy. We'll get you the answer. That way you're not going on your social media, putting grossly inaccurate information and getting people worked up, because that's just not right.
Yeah, I do wanted to kind of point out that is, we wanted to be transparent. We wanted to, get the community engaged with work with the city. But we have to use our words wisely, and then we also have to get the whole picture before we say anything, because we have the freedom of speech, but we needed to speak responsibly, not targeting anybody, not against anybody. We are here to work with everybody to solve the problem, to make the community better, not to create any negativity. A lot of the stuff, I don't even know what was going on until somebody told me that I was about my attendance or whatever. And it's so easy to engage on social media stuff and get into that negative circle. But if we can put this energy on in terms of doing things together, I think we would better off that.
Thank you. But I guess the other thing that I want the citizens to know regarding our finances, and there may be a spin. I may get cyberbullied again. I may get cyber slandered again. I may get cyber lied about again. But with a name like All Hands playing college ball, I've been able to take a lot of abuse over the years. So, but I'm going to just go into this. And here's 3 facts to know. We have passed a balanced budget every year that I've been in office and been an alderman. That's thankful to Rick Elliott, Brandon Bergery, and Benny Marcier. We've passed balanced budgets every year. We have money in the bank to the tune of $7 million. We have grown the water and sewer. If you get into it, we've grown it very substantially. But we're talking about some major water main additions. I'm going to say it that way. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But we're talking Elm Street from Brianna, and we're trying to get all the way over to the Nettie Davis School, if I'm right, and going up north on what, 4th Street? Yeah. Okay. We're also looking at North 4th Street. And then we're looking at North Street, going to the highway, going to the junction, taking it over to the river, which this is Dennis's plan, that we're going to get that a good size over there. And then I think we're going to take it a little bit west even further, correct? Or please correct me if I'm wrong on that. So
Yeah, we'd like to get it looped all the way to the west tower, increase that water main through there in addition to the new well on North Street.
And then third point, as far as finances, the city has passed all of its annual audits by an independent financial entity every year that I've been up here. So the picture that's been painted as far as finances ain't really that way, folks. It's not really that way. So, other inaccurate post. Back in, I want to say September, had a planning commission meeting. Okay? And this was with Keith. I'm not going to throw you into it, but I'm just saying he was present. We had a quick formality that we had to do. We had to get them to vote on letting the chairman sign the deed once the Martin Avenue road was deeded back to the city. We had to have our ducks in a row, and that's what we did. That lasted all of 10 minutes. That meeting went from 6 to 6:30, and it is absolutely the truth. And then we also had a purchasing committee from 6 to 6:30 in the back. We finished here in about 10 to 12 minutes. I excused myself. I went back. That's the first inaccuracy. And I was able to finish with the purchasing committee. The second inaccuracy is, it's behind closed doors. Well, do you mind passing out that picture? I'm going to break it down to the rudimentary. But we have a picture of a door that can be propped open, and we have a picture of a device that will hold the door open, because I walked through an open door to go back to that meeting. So if we had the mass of humanity coming for the purchasing committee, when we had the planning commission, we could have ran it. We could have directed them back there. Okay, so first inaccuracy. Or second, that's the second, because the office door was propped open. The last one, bringing to attention, why are we not recording the purchasing committee meetings? And I should have just told you to bring the other one with the highlight. Under the Open Meetings Act, all public bodies shall keep written minutes of all their open meetings. We've had written minutes on both of these meetings going on. The verbatim record on all closed meetings should be in the form of audio, video recording minutes. With this, we tend to go over and above. But there's a copy of the thing that's being put out there. So that's 3 inaccuracies right there, with the lot that we had on the first thing. So I guess the thing that, and I guess we can consider these rhetorical, well, I'm going to add 2 more. We've had the same person that does these posts falsely accused 2 of the businesses that we do business with, Carlisle and Lee Excavating, of padding their bills. That's dangerous. That could get us into a defamation lawsuit when someone does that. Very much so. That could be a defamation. And they've done it twice. So, 4 big questions. And I guess this would be for the And you can consider them rhetorical, I guess, if you want. But why has this person not reached out to department heads, financial committees with questions or concerns instead of going to their keyboard first? Second one, why do you wait until the end of the fiscal year, right before an election, to bring these concerns up when you receive the financials every month? The next one, with your posts being wrong most of the time, is this done deliberately or in order to mislead the public? And the fourth one, do you plan to retract your statements on social media and admit that you are wrong? So, and I'm just to my own, Watsika deserves better.
I'd like to make a couple comments, and I do not want to extend this meeting on any longer than we have
I just
to.
wanted to get the truth out, Jenny. That's all I wanted to do.
You know, I appreciate that you think that's the truth, but I beg differ. So the one thing you did not bring up, well, let me go backwards. So I missed some meetings, and you're very right, I did. And do you know why? Because in those early years with you guys, and I have it on audio because I recorded every meeting before we ever did video and audio, I had people yelling. I had Brandon standing over you, pointing at me. I had Dennis over there asking me why the bleep I was on this council.
Okay, I think
No,
it's
excuse
time.
me. No.
No,
I gave,
you don't
you're
point
interrupting
people.
Me.
You don't point at people. When you are a city councilwoman sitting on this thing,
Yes.
we're not arguing. If we're gonna argue,
This
we
isn't
can
an
go
argument.
outside to argue,
This is
not in
making-
front of here.
Excuse me. This is not arguing. It's making a point.
No.
That this council has done nothing but harass and been ignorant to me before I ever even had a chance to get up here and make a difference. And Yami, you never attended a meeting until you got seated up here, so you don't know because you weren't present. So I will tell you that every time a meeting was coming up, I physically got ill the night before and the day of. And if it wasn't that, because I was here alone without video or audio or anything to back me up when Dustin and Greg Marks and all of them were here and doing their yelling and you guys were all on board with them, it was okay, right? It's okay for Dennis to say, go look in your mirror and talk to yourself. We got video of that. But
Kathy?
that's okay, right?
Kathy, did we have audio that entire time?
Yeah, we've always had audio.
Okay.
Well, then I would love to go back and hear it. I'm sure I can come up with several dates.
But not here.
Excuse me?
But not here.
Oh, not right now. No, of course not.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to say is that's the reason I missed. And if it wasn't that, it was because of my work or it was because I had foot surgery. Neither
No, the
here
foot
nor there,
surgery,
and
you-
I'm not going any further on that.
The foot surgery, you actually,
Can I speak publicly?
oh,
Yes, please.
I don't know what's going on with you guys. I really don't care what your history is, what the past is with all of you.
Exactly.
I feel like those of us sitting here are, for whatever reason, have an interest in being a part of this. I'm sorry, being city council, not this. And if this is what it's going to be like, I don't have an interest in being part of it. I'm not coming to be a part of this drama and whatever's going on with all of you. Personally, work your crap out outside of here and come to me and serve our city. So, John,
He's the
this
one
shouldn't have
who
been
brought
brought
it
up.
up.
You guys, this is between the 2 of 3, 4 of you, whatever it is. But to me, this is inexcusable for this sort of a setting. And I guess I felt I held all of you to a higher standard than this right here. So to me, you can continue this, but I'd like to see the rest of the meeting so that I can go home to my family like the rest of you should as well.
And I totally
Here.
agree. However, he got to say his part.
He did.
I would like to
100%.
finish. I would just like to finish.
And she said that when you started to overspeak that you needed to continue, or that he needed to continue. So
And that was fine.
I 100% agree. Yep, and I just personally would prefer not continue. If you want to finish your piece, I'm not the judge here. Just you finish, and then John, if we can move on, that would be great for me.
And
I would appreciate
just
that.
like to finish
Here.
with this since I've been attacked, if you will, only because I've posted things. I think our city needs transparency. And when you look at a miscellaneous expense line item that is 5,000% over what was budgeted, it doesn't make sense. Why are we putting these? Why not put it under, materials and supplies, repair and upkeep? It doesn't make sense, and it makes people wonder why. What are we doing? And yes, I didn't bring it up. I wanted to see how the year was going to end, where we were at. Because it doesn't matter what is said. You guys do what you want. The last thing, two last things I want to bring up just because is that is the only meeting that has not been video recorded or audio recorded, I'm assuming. That purchasing meeting does not get audio recorded,
No,
correct?
no.
Okay, so it's the only one that in all these years have never been recorded. So it does make you wonder why. That door was not propped open every time. I will tell you, I witnessed it. That planning meeting, you can attest, that went almost to the exact time. He was not in that other meeting. I assure you, I would hook myself up to a lie detector test because I know it. I know they've been behind that closed door.
Can we continue
I know
the
that they
meeting?
come in when they want to, however they want to. And so I do want to ask a quick question before we go on. You never brought up the illegal meetings. You never brought up the falsified documentation that I mentioned. Why is that? Was there a meeting?
I
at
just thought it was a
6
planning
o'clock?
and commission meeting,
No,
and,
no,
and
no.
that was proper. That was
No.
done all right.
Might have been proper, but it was not a 10-minute meeting. I know, I sat here the entire time. No, I'm talking
no,
about the
no.
meeting that Benny signed the paper that said it occurred on January 14th at 6 p.m. When that purchasing meeting, when we were all in a special called meeting, that was falsified, fraudulent documentation. All falsified. I have at least 10 other accounts that I've sent to the AG to have it investigated, because I truly believe that there are some inappropriate things going on and illegal things. If we have that going on, what else is going on? One might wonder, okay? But you're going to sit here and put me down for the things.
I never mentioned any names.
And last, I think this might be last thing I have really in retort. You know, we talk about the things that are being put through and, you know, but we were told almost everything was donated down at that little $35,000 wall park that we made. Then why did we spend $10,000 on benches and all that were put down there here? I could have sworn I'd have to go back through every meeting. Oh no, it was all donated, it was all donated. Again, we do not tell the public everything. So Benny, do you want to answer if that was fraudulently documented, or should no comment?
No
I'm not
comment.
gonna- I'm not going to comment.
No
I'm
comment.
not going to
Okay.
continue with the meeting.
So when everybody, you know, we've got this, and I gave them time to gather their stuff, so of course they're going to say
I
this.
never said everything was donated in Horner Park.
Okay.
Can
What
we
I'm gonna
moving forward?
say- What I'm gonna finish up with, so we can get on to our meeting, is that I knew by posting that a couple days in advance, this was going to occur. I had absolutely no doubt in my mind. I knew they would have this retort, but that's okay, because I know what I'm saying is true. I know when I took those videos and did around the room and said, they're not here, they're behind a closed door back there, and there's their coats, it was the truth. And I warned them 6 or 8 months ago, stop having these illegal meetings, and they still continued. It
So-
snubbed the nose. It is snubbed the nose at the public, because that's who's losing.
So what are we doing behind these illegal meetings?
It's an open
What are we
Meetings
doing?
Act.
What are we doing wrong
Is it-
behind,
You know
behind,
what you're doing wrong?
what are we doing wrong? If that's the case,
Are they not violating the law?
Yeah, you're violating the Open Meetings Act, which you should have studied, 8 years ago when you started over here, because it's plain and simple in the Open Meetings Act of how they're supposed to be held, in the format, and that's definitely not been happening.
Why would that mean
And
it
I
was
can,
any
I can verify, because when I was first sworn in under the council, I was coming in early for the purchasing committee meetings, and they were behind that locked door. I have videos of myself showing what time, date, everything that shows that they were behind that locked door. And she had warned multiple times. So don't tell us that
The
this stuff
chairman-
wasn't occurring. So
the
just leave it
chairman
at
of,
that.
the chairman of the purchasing committee handles all of that. The 4 people that are assigned to that purchasing committee, the 4 aldermen, we sit down wherever the purchase orders are at, and we sign purchase orders. The chairman, who is John Allhands, handles where they're at, the lights are on, and if the doors are unlocked. That's not our
So
responsibility.
you're casting the blame on John, even though you should know the law? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
No, I'm saying it's up to
Okay.
the chairman, who is Mayor Allhands.
We gotta
But the
kind of wrap this
co-chair
up.
signed that.
We needed to
also.
move him forward.
So.
Yeah, but we'd have the
Okay, let's-
purchase orders
yes,
right here on this
Let's move
table.
on, but I was not going to let you sit there and say that without having my comments, so.
I didn't mention
Please,
any
let's
names.
move on.
John, you had talked about water mains on
Mhm.
Elm and North Street.
Yeah.
For any of you that aren't familiar, most all that side of town is fed by one 4-inch water main. Anybody in the fire department that has fought a fire out in West Watsika knows how hard it is to maybe not break a main when they hook up to it. It's something that needs to be done. There was a well at the Smiley Face Water Tower that had to be shut down because of high arsenic content. So we're pumping water from right here all the way across town, 2.5 miles, in a 4-inch water main. That's why we need to get that project done.
Okay, let's finish up the finance meeting. Anything else for finance? I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ready, Kathy?
Yep.
I'll call to order the March 18th Public Works Committee. Kathy, if you would, please.
Miller,
Here.
Delar,
Here.
Cahill,
Here.
Marcier,
Here.
Minch,
Here.
Rolfs.
Here.
Barrigree,
Here.
Anderson,
Here.
Mayor,
Here.
9 present.
Any public comment? Okay. Lauren.
Good evening, council. First item here, I have water, our test well, the land agreement on the north side, on North Street there has been signed. It's been handed over to the title company. They're working on the title work. We're hoping to get this taken care of within the next month. The EPA, we're still waiting. We've had some back and forth with the EPA on our permit for this well. Hoping we get this approved within the next 30 to 60 days, so just a delay with the EPA on that, but hopefully by the time we get permitting, we'll have the land purchased. This was approved in last month's meeting for the $25,000. Distribution, no real movement on the radio reads. Valve exercising will take place again in the fall. I'm hoping this summer to cut in a couple of valves in certain locations. The lead service line inventory grant. So we've been continuing to work on this. The home inspections have been completed, or being completed by the city in Robinson, using the grant fund. So that is no cost to the city, as Robinson is doing any home inspections. They're just helping out with residents that are calling and scheduling with them instead of the city. So just team effort, but no cost to the city on that. I did purchase about 40 Buffalo boxes, B boxes you may know or hear them called. Those are the boxes out in front yards. We're getting ready to hydro excavate 180 service lines throughout town to identify our portion of the water line underground required by the IEPA. Again, these B boxes were not budgeted, but it only makes sense to replace these as we already have them excavated when we find them broke. So I stocked up quite a bit on these just so we can prepare for the worst. That way we're not excavating these again in the near future if someone needs their water turned off due to a broken water line. The grant for the water main extension on Elm Street, as you guys are all aware, we've got the low interest loan available. We've decided to do the section from Brianna Drive to Sycamore in-house with a 12-inch water main. So that is just sitting idle currently. Once we complete that section, we'll have to revisit that grant and adjust that and possibly seek, the difference for the rest of that water main and on Third Street for that project. If we receive low interest loan and debt forgiveness, then we may outsource that portion, but if not, then we'll continue phasing that the next few years. No movement on the North Street water main extension due to the well, waiting for that completion. We had 2 water main breaks, one on Legion Park, a 2-inch water main broke, and then one on Fleming, a 4-inch water main broke. So we definitely seen a reduced amount of water main breaks this last month. Source water protection plan, emailed to the IEPA, still waiting for a response on that. Water main projects, the Belmont and 6th is scheduled for June of 2025. Working with the contractors, they may want to start a little bit earlier on the north end. So that's the section of water main from the high school to Lincoln up to 6th and 6th over to Mulberry. So they may start on that section on 6th Street. We did push that out till June to wait for the school to get out. And then the 12-inch water main from Brianna to Sycamore. I'm hoping we can do this in June as well, completed by the city employees. I'm requesting $200,000 to be pulled out of water funds and budgeted for this project. We're coming up to our fiscal year, and we could allocate funds for the new fiscal year coming up. So, I guess I'm requesting that for an approval.
Should we make a motion?
I just say, do we need a motion and a second to,
Just in
So-
case, I'll make the motion that we do it.
Second.
so I'll have Kathy put that on the agenda for next week as well.
Kathy, if you would.
Mensch,
Wait, time out. What are we voting on?
This is the 12-inch water main we're running from Brianna Drive to Sycamore. The city of Waseca is going to complete this in-house.
Right.
I need funds for material, gravel.
So we don't have a dollar amount.
I
attached.
don't have a dollar amount.
How can we honestly make a motion in a second and pass it when we don't have a dollar amount? That's a blind.
We've received material prices from some different suppliers for the water main, hydrants, valves, and Lauren and I went through and counted and measured the lengths of materials. We're at about $150,000 with actual water main materials. We're figuring $50,000 for aggregate.
Site restoration.
restoration.
I mean,
We're gonna have additional fuel costs. We have to remove trees. We have to redo some grading out there. I mean, if we wanna get
I'm not
exact,
saying that the project shouldn't go through. I'm just saying is before we can actually pass something, shouldn't we have a dollar value attached to it? That otherwise it leaves it open. I mean, what he's saying is you've got the figures, quick lump them together and give us something that we can actually vote on.
it's $200,000.
Okay.
That is a rough number if you wanna get, I mean, we can go through and get an exact dollar amount, but that's, I mean, are you looking for employee wages as well? I mean, we aren't contractors, so I'm looking at materials and restoration. We're looking at about $200,000. I don't have an exact hard number because, again, we're not accounting for every ounce of fuel spent. You know, we're not a contractor, we're not IPC, so it's a little harder for us to have an exact dollar put together. So I'm looking for a $200,000 budget to complete this. I'm hoping to come in under that,
There you go. Okay.
but I'm looking not to exceed 200,000 on this project. I have hydrants I gotta purchase. I
Water
mean,
and sewer fund, which is,
it's coming out of the water, so
has
I
money
mean,
in it. It's not like we're,
yeah, I'm just,
saying is it's easier to
instead of
actually
instead
put a
of being
dollar amount.
criticized later because we don't have $200,000 I spent in the budget, I'm looking to move this into a line item for next year so I have the funds available. I mean, if you want an exact dollar amount, I try a little bit closer, but it's a little harder being that we're doing this in-house.
No, just the attached to the 200,000. There you go. Somehow I must have missed that, so.
Kathy, make sure that gets in the minutes if you would, please. Then call roll.
Mensch,
aye.
Baragry,
Aye.
Cahill,
Aye.
Delar,
Aye.
Anderson,
Aye.
Marcier,
Aye.
Rolfs,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye. Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
roll call carried.
And I do want to remind everybody, by us doing this in-house, will save almost $500,000. So, I
Absolutely.
mean, if this is an issue, we can outsource it.
No.
Okay, well,
Just
okay.
wanted a dollar amount officially on the what was we were voting on.
Let's go with 700,000.
Wastewater treatment plant, still waiting for our NPDS permit renewal from the IEPA. No real updates. I'm still waiting for our updated quote for our slide gates. Requested a stainless steel gate, and they're slow to respond. So I'm hoping possibly by next week. But if I get quotes, I'll bring that up and put it on the agenda. But I believe that we did deem that as operational, and we do have funds in, was that, or 1980s? Kathy, help me out here. What's that?
Is that
1980?
86?
6.
Yeah, what do we have, $66,000 left in there?
Yeah.
66.9.
Yeah, so I propose we use that fund to pay for these valves. I'm expecting to be around 60,000, so that's where I'll be pulling that money out of.
Yep.
Again, that was discussed last month as operational. Sanitary and storm sewers, Locust Street, Brown Street project. Again, that was discussed earlier. That was approved in July 30th last year. That did hit our budget. That was not budgeted for, and I apologize. Miscellaneous, I guess, was too confusing. That could have been to a different line item. It hits the same it hits the budget all the same, whether it's in that line item or in materials. Again, that was approved. If anybody has any doubts on the budgets or overs, definitely feel free to reach out to me. I'm always available. So that is that was approved amount. We'll work on I guess coding it to different line items so it's a little bit clearer for people to read. But again, feel free to reach out to me with questions. So that asphalt work will be taken care of this spring, and then that project will be closed out. Again, that was that casing that was drilled underneath the railroad tracks through the Brown Street ditch. Still cleaning a couple catch basins. We're about finished with that. That has not been a consistent work project. Has been a project we've been doing as we have time. Hopefully that gets completed here in the next week or so. For some odd reason, item C, you just see sewer. I didn't save for whatever reason. I was putting down the K Street sanitary sewer. I don't know if you guys remember, we had the big storm sewer project. Well, part of that project was replacing about 200 feet of sanitary sewer. So we're working on putting together a project that Public Works will take care of in-house. I'll try to get some dollar amounts put together for next month's meeting, if not next week's, but it'll probably be next month's Public Works. And that is replacing one manhole and about 200 feet of sanitary sewer that needs to be taken care of before it is an issue in the future. GIS mapping. Again, today we corrected some sewers on our mapping out there in front of the Rena Center. Our old mapping was incorrect. We found some manholes. It's just paying off. It's for the future Waseca. It's in a couple of years, the next generation is going to have it pretty easy with some nice mapping. So parks, we have the Oslet grant. We have a public meeting on Thursday, the 20th at 5:30 p.m. Love for everybody and anybody to attend. Positive, negative, we need feedback from the public on where the Waseca wants to head with our parks. It is a $600,000 grant with a 50% match. Public Works is planning on doing about 25% of that 50% match in-house. So again, spread the word, make sure people are aware we have a public meeting Thursday, March 20th.
When
Before
do
we
we
get into that, could I just ask a quick question? Because I had a constituent asked, do the projects have to be specifically here at Lakeview only, or is it possible to have any of them done at other parks? Or would it had to have been in the original grant application?
An OSLID grant can only be used at one park
Okay,
location.
I thought you had said that before, but somebody asked, and I thought I'd at least make sure, because somebody was saying, why can't we spread this out to like K Park, whatever? And my answer to them was, I believed that the grant application was specific to one park only.
Yeah, IDNR is very specific. If you want to do work at multiple parks, it's multiple different
It's
fiscal-
different grant applications, yes, and I
yes.
thought that's what you had said, but I just wanted to confirm that.
When
Thank you.
is it expected to start the
So
project?
we have the agreement for the grant. It was originally supposed to be signed March 12th. We were able to ask for an extension on that, so we have to have it signed April 22nd, and then we have a 2-year period to get this work completed by.
Okay.
So, back, yep.
Excuse me a minute, was
Go
there an equipment grant or something too? For some equipment over there?
The gym
Yeah,
equipment.
we did receive a Blue Cross Blue Shield outdoor equipment grant. It was what, 30 to 50,000?
Yeah, the range is 30 to 50. We put 40 in the budget. We'll find out. That grant will be available. We are lined up to get it, but nothing has come before you guys. I wanted to make sure the OSLID moved forward before we brought the Blue Cross Blue Shield grant. It didn't make sense to commit to that before we committed to OSLID grants, so. But I have been in communication with the company that's overseeing that grant.
But we need to let people know that that's a possibility. To receive that and pay for some of the equipment with that.
So we're gonna provide some information Thursday with cost breakdowns and things like that, to kind of help inform the public on what our shares will be, what grants we're receiving. And then I want people to be open-minded. You can see this isn't set in stone as far as location of everything. You know, obviously, I'm not responding to social media because I would be there all day, every day with the questions. I really want people to come in here so we can have an open discussion. But there's a lot of concerns on where things are placed or, you know, tax dollars, things like that. So I really hope that we're pushing individuals to come in here, but we can move those amenities wherever we want. So if people have concerns, it's very open as far as locations, and then we have some other things we're taking into consideration that we're hoping to discuss there Thursday night.
Thursday's being live or recorded?
It's not a city well,
Don't have to be, no.
It's okay.
No.
I can't attend. I was just gonna
Yeah.
listen.
Can we, or?
yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I mean, if
I don't
we're-
know, I don't know how well that'll work though, if it's just general. Unless somebody's standing in front of that microphone or sitting back there, you're not gonna be able to hear much. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you know.
And maybe that's how we'll handle it, is we take questions one at a time and just try to respond
Yep.
through microphones so we can record it and get it out there. Because I do want the public's input on this. I mean, this is for the city. If people don't want it, then we won't move forward. If they want it, then absolutely. I think we've got a great opportunity here with a $600,000 grant. So, but we'll try our best.
I've heard some comments about, you know, the geese out there and
Yep.
things like that. A lot of the suburbs up north, they actually use swans. They bring in swans to keep the geese away because they're natural enemies.
Yeah.
They don't allow them to nest. And, so they actually rent the swans.
So I don't think a lot of people realize, and I'll just discuss that with the council so you can, you know, share that. We've been trying the last couple of years on getting rid of the geese. You know, we've bought a laser that acts as a deterrent, so we're out there scaring off the geese. We've hired a company for egg deprivation. We can't legally remove a nest and eggs, so we have this company that has, you know, the correct permits and licensing. They come down. The geese have been coming here for 20 years, and they're comfortable nesting because they know it's a safe haven. So we've been trying to make it an unsafe environment for them. So I'm hoping a few years of this, they stop that repeat cycle. So we have been working on trying to get rid of them, and I feel that it has helped and reduced the amount of geese. And obviously we're out there grooming the trails, things like that, so. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe we can,
So for people that, Mike was not on the microphone, for people that didn't hear that, I guess there are swans that you can actually rent for the season, and then during the winter time, they take it back, after the season's over, it's winter time, they take the swans back and away and gone.
and they have devices you can put in the water, a laser, sound devices, things like that. We tried some cheap decoys, trying to keep costs down. They helped a little bit, but kids tend to play with the decoys or get scared thinking there was a real coyote out there. So, it's not for no effort. We've been trying the last couple of years, but we're trying to break a 20-year cycle with them coming back here. So, I definitely want this park to be known as Lakeview, not Goose Poop Park. So,
Well, the rental
yeah, I was
swans
gonna say
might
maybe we
be
need to
an
look
answer.
into swans.
I don't know what that cost, but
It's going to
that
cost
much.
us money, but it's money well spent because that's an issue with the public. So I don't think anybody's going to be too upset. The egg deprivation
We can
is
find
like
out.
$1,600. So I mean, it's a little costly to deal with them, but we're hoping eventually they disappear. But we have to continue the work and maybe take it to the next level where we are renting swans. Maybe we can purchase a couple. I don't know.
Mike, do you know how many they're talking about? What quantities, or does the size of the lake matter?
Usually, you see them in pairs, because the swans are there in pairs.
Oh.
Do you know the company?
Maybe you need a couple pairs of them, that type of thing.
You guys approved those tasers last week.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say one thing about swans. Before I moved down here, I was very experienced with a place that had them, and the park was not open to the public. Swans are exceptionally protective of their space, and in a lake this size, there won't be more than a pair, because a pair more than that, they will compete, and they will chase after, they will bite, and they will flap their wings, and they will hurt if they hit people, and they are exceptionally protective. So I would make sure that before we work on anything like that, we know the company know that this is a very open place where people walk.
So the company we're working with now, they came out, took a look at what we had, the problems we had, and have been working with us. So, I know they have some other offers to, some other ideas. And I'll run the swans by them and see if that might be a solution they already have available, because they deal with geese and other birds through factories and businesses and sky rises.
But Mike is spot on right. The geese do not like swans,
Yeah.
period.
So, okay. So again, Thursday, the 20th at 5:30 p.m. Hopefully, I see everybody there and get some good feedback from the public. Second item with parks, the bathrooms were open for the year. We had an early spring. I was getting a lot of comments from individuals wanting the bathrooms open. The baseball season has started at Peters Park as well, so a lot of parents were asking about that. So we decided to go ahead and get the water back on. I think we'll be all right. We'll keep an eye on the weather. Unfortunately, we did have some vandalism already at Peters Park. PD brought that to my attention. I appreciate it, and they're working on locating the kids that vandalized it. They broke some glass blocks in the back of the bathrooms, and then they broke some fencing out there as well. So we're working on getting some new glass blocks ordered. We'll get that repaired ASAP, but
How's the cameras working?
they were able to identify that they got a good shot of the kids. Like I said, they're working on locating them currently. So, yep.
While you're on the bathrooms, those are gonna continue to be locked up at night, right?
Yep. So I'm working with PD. They're graciously helping out, locking them at night and unlocking them in the morning.
Awesome.
That, locking them up at night probably would be easy for the police.
Yeah,
I think that you guys should unlock them.
that's fine.
And the reason for that is if something happens overnight after they lock up, then you'll be there first to see it.
Okay.
And you ain't gonna unlock them before 8 o'clock anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine with me. That works. What about the weekends? I guess,
You
you
have
know,
a
I can
guy
just have
come
the
in
water,
anyway, don't
I can
you?
have the water operators unlock them, so yeah, it's not an issue.
And the weekends, the park, or the bathrooms and the concession stands, especially at the ballparks, those waste cans will have to be taken care of. So they can unlock on a weekend morning too, right?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, we make rounds typically Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We usually don't have too many issues over the weekends with garbage, but, if they're unlocking, they can,
You identify these people with this vandalism, do not let that slide.
I'll talk with PD. I know that they're working on that, so I'll work closely with them and we'll make sure it's handled. So I'll get with Chief Harris tomorrow and we'll discuss the locking and unlocking. Baseball banners have been hung up for the season. Forest Park outfield lights have been repaired. Next item here is streets. The no parking on the east side from Fairman to Coney, the ordinances were provided to you. We need approval to, unless you just want to push those off till full
They-
council.
They'll approve that at full council.
You'll wait till full council, okay. So we do have the updated ordinances, so you'll have those next week to decide on. And that was discussed, I want to say in December's, I want to say that was discussed and approved in December's council meeting. So, the MFT Heat and Recycle project from last fall, we met with Gallagher. They will be out in early May to apply the second fog coat, which will help lock down and help with some of the dust issues. So that is the Heat and Recycle on Sheridan, Chicago, Market, Iroquois, Wabash, Virginia. So that should get completed out in May. That project has not been paid for, so that will hit our MFT funds probably June, realistically. Martin Avenue Extension, I'll let Keith give you an update on that one.
If you've been out by 10th Street, you'll notice that there's some material over the top of the box culvert at the east end. That's a seal that they had to put over it. They couldn't do that during the winter because it's temperature dependent, so they had to wait till it warmed up. Hammond Wagner is the subcontractor to IPC. They're removing the stockpiles that are towards the west end of the project. They're going to start excavating where the road is, and we've been communicating with IPC. We want them to immediately get that road fabric and the aggregate down. We want to have a nice solid base before the spring rains come. We don't want to create a problem down there. So you'll continue to see earth being taken off of the project, and then IPC will follow up with the stone for the road.
When you say west side, is that the big mounds across from Heritage Woods?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's going to be additional buildable lots.
Correct.
Fine.
Yes.
Yep.
Our road projects for this year, the TIF 3 funded, IPC was approved. This work will take place in June as well, being that it's on Belmont and Martin Avenue. So we're trying to align that with the rest of the Martin Avenue project to save on the mobilization fees there.
We also push that back because of the school. We don't want construction traffic there while school is either coming into or leaving during the day. It's just not going to be safe for the kids or traffic. So we're just pushing that back towards till school's out, and that way we don't disrupt them.
Salt, we've purchased 250 tons of salt. We have about 150 tons in our salt bin. We had excess from last year's. We've had a couple mild winters, so we'll probably be ahead in our budget for the salt this year, unless we get a late
never
snow
know.
and freezing, which
just
you never
never
know in the
know.
Midwest. So staffing still down 3 employees. Haven't really gotten a whole lot of applications, unfortunately. I'm still working with Express as well. Not getting a whole lot from them currently, but hopefully we can get some candidates in here in the next month or so, because we are going to be short for the summer, but we'll continue to utilize the summer help from the high schoolers, college intern as well, so we keep that 13th position open to cover those costs, and as without benefits there. So miscellaneous, the tree trimming's complete, but you'll see that we've removed 12 trees. Unfortunately, after we did a lot of trimming, Ameren had their contractor come through and trim around power lines. We had a lot of trees that were just butchered. They left trees that were just leaning toward homes. So we're trying to stay ahead of that so we don't end up with trees on houses because they're lopsided. We did have extreme winds last Friday night. We got 0 calls. We had no branches. We had no pickups. We didn't. So I think that's probably the first time in a long time that we were able to go through a windstorm and not be out for the next 3 days picking up branches and things. So the tree trimming is paying off. You know, we didn't create a bunch of overtime. So good preventative maintenance there. I think we've only had one complaint from one resident. Unfortunately, he wasn't home when we found the tree was dead at the top. I did discuss that with him, let him know that is our tree, and apologize that he wasn't made aware ahead of time. But when we discover a tree in bad shape and we're already there with the lift and saws, we're going to take it down to avoid liabilities. Equipment, waiting an updated quote and the license for the radios. The light tower was received on 3/7. We did some training with the fire department, so pretty excited to get that thing out in the near future. That's all I have.
Anybody else, anything? Scott? Jenny?
Nope.
DL?
Nope.
Tom? Brandon?
Nope.
Good. Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.